Okay, so the third take because I cannot talk. So, in this podcast episode, I'm going to look at how Google seems to know what you're thinking. And if this was a more proper podcast, I would have some snazzy intro music right here. But you're just going to have to imagine it, or whatever, maybe hum a song yourself. But anyway, welcome to Critical Wade Theory. Or in this episode, we might want to just call it Tech Talk or something like that. Maybe Wade pretends to understand tech because we're going to be doing a little bit of a deep dive into some elements of how Google tracks you. It sounds really sketchy, and it probably is from a lot of different perspectives. But, we're that type of podcast. We're going to explore the fascinating world of technology sometimes and how it shapes our lives. So I'm your host, Wade, and today we're diving into the intriguing topic of artificial intelligence and how it powers Google's uncanny ability to predict what you're thinking. I wouldn't say it's a deep dive necessarily. It's a bit more like we're just dipping our toes into the water, seeing, what the water is like, I guess. But stick around as I unravel the mystery behind Google's algorithms and data collection practices. Well, I don't know if I'm going to do that so much, but I'm going to cast a little bit of a glare at Google's direction and say, you better watch it, because they're probably watching us, so we might as well watch them right back. So let's get started, and if this was a snappy podcast, I'd have transition music, but I don't. So when we talk about artificial intelligence or AI, we often think about futuristic robots and self-driving cars and stuff like that. But today we're focusing on a more specific type of AI called narrow AI. This type of AI is designed to perform a narrow task, like recognizing images, translating languages, or in Google's case, predicting what you might be searching for. Well, okay, narrow AI is actually involved in self-driving cars too, which is a bit weird because it doesn't seem like driving is a simple, narrow task. But whatever, it's apparently one of the things that they do, what narrow AI does. It's heavily involved in self-driving cars. But anyway, whenever you're typing on a keyboard, Google is potentially, keeping its ear open and its eyes open and looking and listening, taking notes of what you're up to. You might have noticed that sometimes Google seems to know exactly what you're thinking. And you might ask, how does it do that? Well, it's not magic, and Google isn't literally reading your mind. It's all about data and sophisticated algorithms. So let's break it down just a little bit. Let's talk about search history and user data. Every time you use Google, it tracks your search history, whether it's clean or dirty. It's going to be tracking it down. This includes the websites you visit, the links you click on, whether it's cat videos or something else, and the specific search queries you enter. Over time, Google builds a detailed profile of your interests and preferences. Sort of like, remember Terminator 2, he says, I have detailed files. Arnold says that. Well, that's kind of what Google does. It's a little bit like the Terminator in that respect. This profile allows Google to provide personalized search results and targeted advertisements. So to some of us, that's going to sound relatively innocent. Some of us are going to think that's relatively evil. It all depends on your preferences. And if you don't want Google tracking you at all, well, I guess don't use it. Some people don't. Not everyone does use Google. But there's also, location data is another important thing. Notice the bad edit there. But if you use Google services on a device with location tracking enabled, Google collects data about your physical location. This helps Google offer location specific suggestions. So if you're searching for restaurants around noon, Google knows to show you lunch spots that are near you. And, you can hear Google's eerie footsteps walking behind you as it does so. Like imagine it's midnight, you're in an alleyway, you hear Google's footsteps approaching you, and you're frightened. You know what Google can do to you if it gets a hold of you. Yet, millions, well, maybe even billions of us trust Google. We take Google's hand, and we're like, okay, we're going to let you guide us. But another critical piece of the puzzle is cookies and web tracking. Many websites use Google Analytics and other Google services, which means cookies are stored on your device when you visit these sites. These cookies track your browsing behavior across different sites, adding more layers to Google's understanding of your interests, and you can insert whatever kind of cheesy cornball cookie related joke you want right here. Make a Cookie Monster reference, make some joke about cookie sheets. Santa Claus likes cookies and milk. There's really a lot of different stuff you can do with the word cookies. Just like grandma used to make. A lot of us have grandmas or aunts, maybe occasionally an uncle who makes some kick-ass cookies. But that's not really what we're talking about here, of course. So let's get a bit technical with machine learning algorithms. That's our next little topic here. Google uses sophisticated machine learning algorithms to analyze all the data it collects. These algorithms identify patterns and trends, allowing Google to predict what you might be interested in based on your past behavior and the behavior of users with similar profiles. So you're being profiled, sort of like what Michael Bloomberg did in New York. Lots of profiling going on there. Only this time the net is perhaps being cast even wider. Google is your buddy. It's there to make sure that you're getting all of the content that you want. It's like it's an enabler. So lastly, Google considers contextual clues. Now, what exactly does that mean? It looks at the context of your search queries, such as the time of day, your current location, and your recent searches. For instance, if you search for bikes right after searching for bike trails, Google might assume you're interested in purchasing a bike. And it'll throw a bunch of stupid bike ads at you. It'll end up seeming like, because you looked at bikes once, well, now you want to see bikes all the goddamn time. You're going to like OD on bikes. So maybe it'll make you sick of bikes by the time you're done using the internet for the day. You'll be like, I never want to ride on a bike again because I saw so many annoying ads about biking. And, that's just one of the costs of high-tech, affluent societies that really are constantly guiding us on our, internet journeys. That's what happens when we privatize all resources like the internet, which was originally not even a corporate thing, but now it's like that's all it is almost. And, I'm sure you can guess where I'm standing on this, but I'll admit it, I use Google and the rest of the internet for, buying stuff here and there. I have subscription services, and yes, they do have cookies on me. So I'm not gonna get on a high horse about this, you know. So how does all of this make Google seem like it knows what you're thinking? It's a combination of tracking your search history, understanding your location, analyzing your web behavior through cookies, leveraging powerful machine learning algorithms, and considering the context of your searches. So, together, these elements create a highly personalized and seemingly intuitive search experience. And, that's why it might seem like there's a light bulb moment every so often, courtesy of Google, because it can it can sometimes come eerily close to where it seems like it's reading your mind. So anyway, in conclusion, while Google doesn't literally know what you're thinking, its advanced use of AI and data collection makes it feel that way sometimes. It's all about patterns, data, and sophisticated algorithms working together to anticipate your needs and your interests, again, be they clean or absolutely filthy. So, if this was a better podcast, there would be some outro music here right now, but I don't feel like editing anything like that in. And that's all for today's episode of Tech Talk. Critical weight theory. We hope you enjoyed this semi-deep dive into how Google's AI creates such a personalized search experience. If you have any questions or topics you'd like me to explore, drop me a line at wadewinio@gmail.com. That's right, I'm sharing that email address. Don't forget to check out my other episodes and leave a review. I don't have a subscription thing here, so you're just going to have to, try to keep tabs on what I'm doing. And until next time, this has been Critical Weight Theory with a bit of tech talk.